Pledge.
Stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The audio is not on.
Call the meeting to order. We'll do a roll call.
Mary, can you hear us? Oh, she had her hand raised.
The audio can't hear.
Maybe they're in closed session.
Can you hear us now? Oh,
No.
I can hear you.
Steph, you can hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you, Mitch.
Okay. Mary, you might want to check your speaker setting then. I've got another attendee that can hear us. Yeah.
I think we can start with roll call.
We'll start with roll call.
Bergstrom,
Here.
Bush,
Here.
Dunn, Harris,
Here.
Kaiser,
Here.
Johnston, Gelding.
Here.
I'll read the mission. Surrounded by our history as one of the oldest publicly supported schools in Wisconsin, Mineral Point Unified School District is the heart of a small community that educates and inspires our students for a bright future in a big world. First up, we'll have
Oh, no, I can't.
got. Wait.
So first up, State FFA Advisor, Mr. Robinson, making his first appearance in July, I guess. Go ahead and speak to this, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you. We get to keep our streak alive. I think it's 3 months straight or 4 years.
State.
We get the opportunity to honor these students for their hard work. Keeping the state doing very well for us. So Luke and Annie, see some pictures there. Luke and Annie both were champions. So Luke in diversified crop production, Annie in nursery production. So both won their areas. We'll be moving on to national competition. We'll find out later here this summer how they fared, and we hope we'll keep our streak alive of having some national finalists like we've had the last 2 years. We're rated once there. So, and then Ellie was also pictured. Ellie was second in beef production, third in forage production, and fourth in sheep production. Johnny was up there in small animal care, and he was fourth in his area. So again, they all placed well in the top 5 in the state and had a couple winners there. Also then, Luke, Annie, and Ellie are what we would call star finalists as well. So if you kind of look at that as being like the all-stars of the seniors, so they only get to try for this once, and that's as a senior, they receive their state degree. So, and they were, Luke was runner-up in his area in star in ag placement. Annie in the same category was 7th, and Ellie in star farmer was 6th. Again, finishing really strong there. And then also Annie was in prepared speaking at the state and just missed making the finals. They take the top 4 of the finals. So technically she's top 10 in the state. We don't, they say who the top 4 are, but don't place anymore from there. So again, another great showing for those competitors, doing an excellent job there. Just like always, they're out working tonight. So they're continuing on to try to keep the wins going and going. So again, thank you for that. And we had a couple other members there as delegates and there as part of the media team as well. So that way. Thank you.
Congratulations. light night of recognitions, state qualifiers, the softball team. For those of you that might not know, for just the third time in school history, our girls softball team qualified for the state tournament. Played a phenomenal team and probably battled them the best out of anybody, except for the championship game, which went extra innings. And the team that beat Mineral Point was this year's state champs. But again, somebody once told me when we were runner-up that, how many schools in the state would gladly take your place at this level. I think a lot can be said too. Our girls did a phenomenal job getting there, competing, and giving that eventual state champion a run for their money. So congratulations to our girls softball team on their state softball appearance. Not to be outdone by the Diamond, but we have some academic all-state girls in the Wisconsin Fast Pitch Softball Coaches Association, and some all-district and all-state representatives. Academic all-state listed here: Allie Baylor, Hallie Brandt, Kylan Carey, Liz Hoffman, Eliza Engel, and Ella Kroll. And then there are all-state recognitions. Congratulations to Tenley Baca, first team all-district, second team all-state. Maddie Cabot, first team all-district, first team all-state. Austin Kinch, first team all-district, first team all-state. Jaden Schultz, first team all-district, first team all-state. So again, Mineral Point athletes being recognized in the classroom and on the field of competition. So again, we've had this conversation before. Our kids are getting it done in multiple locations, so a lot to be proud of. So congratulations to these softball girls. A couple of ladies, Mineral Point Pointers, play for the All-Star game in softball. Allie Baylor and Liz Hoffman qualified through the Wisconsin Coaches Association for this game. It's only open to seniors. So again, 2 pointers representing the Mineral Point School District in a proud fashion. So congratulations to our all-star softball players. We also had a couple of all-stars for basketball. Ella Kroll, Eli Lindsay, Lacey Lindsay, Jackson Wenhausen, all qualified or were selected to be part of the Basketball Coaches Association All-Star Game. That's played at Just a Game Fieldhouse. You see there was during the month of June, the 25th and 26th. These are pretty select teams. Coaches throw out nominations with their statistics. And then the actual coaches are the ones that go through all of the application forms with all the statistics and decide how they want to fill out their rosters. So to have 4 Mineral Point students, just like the softball, same thing. It's impressive that our students are being recognized and rewarded for their performances on the athletic field and court. So congratulations to our basketball all-stars. Up next, academic all-state baseball players. We also have some all-district and all-state recognition. Grady Finley was academic all-state, academic all-district. Clayton Yan, honorable mention all-district. Jackson Wenhausen, academic all-district. So 3 baseball players being recognized for the job that they're getting done in the classroom. Again, we've got great athletes, great students. Combine those and good things are going to continue to happen for us. So congratulations to our all-state academic baseball athletes. Not to be outdone by the baseball team, academic all-state volleyball team. Here's a picture of this last year's volleyball team. If you look here, the criteria for a team to achieve all academic award is to have at least an average GPA of 3.4. You've heard me talk about this before. This is everyone. This is not just, I'm going to take my top 2 grade point averages and submit those. This is everybody that's part of that varsity team. Our girls had a 3.83 GPA. So again, getting it done in the classroom, great students, great people of great character, and getting it done on the academic court. So congratulations to our all-state volleyball players, academic. All-State Trap Team. Trap is a club for the Mineral Point School District. Hasten Knight was named All-State Trap Shooter in the Wisconsin High School Clay Target League, sorry. And then was also part of a group of athletes that will be competed nationally. We had some other students. So again, trying to find an opportunity for our students to have something that they're connected to. So again, hats off to our students, athletes that are competing in these levels. And so congratulations to Case Knight being all-state trap shooting team. Badger Boys and Badger Girls State. This is a nomination to the local legion. They forward the names on. We had Creighton Garcia and Logan Johnson for Badger Boys State, still held in that fabulous city of Ripon, where the Ripon Goods Speed Queen manufacturing location. I was a Badger Boys State rep a few years ago, so just an exciting place to be. But you know, students learn about government, take on different roles, what it means to be part of city, county, state government. It's a great learning opportunity. So we had 2 young men go to Badger Boys State, and then Lillian Mern was part of the Badger Girls State program. Kind of same thing, only on the girls' side. So congratulations to our 3 students for being Badger State representatives for the Mineral Point School District. Presidential Award, I'll turn this actually over to Ms. McGraw. We had middle school students earn some presidential academic awards.
And to receive the presidential, they had to score in the advanced range on the Wisconsin board exam for math and reading, and then hold at least a 3.75 grade point average. And so these ladies worked very hard and are very deserving of the support. They're incredible inside the classroom and even more incredible outside the classroom and all they bring to us. Really lucky to have all their efforts every single day. And
Congratulations. Either one of you like to say a few words? That's okay. That's usually the response I get, even from high school kids. And last in our recognitions, but certainly not least, nationally certified school social worker. Danny Robb could not be here tonight. She's actually on a vacation with her family out west, but she typed something up and just the National Board Certification for School Social Workers is a relatively new credentialing process that began in 2021. I am the 44th social worker in the nation to complete the certification. The portfolio required evidence from the past 4 years of practice, all of which reflects my work here in the Mineral Point School District. Thanks to the outstanding support from the school board administration, particularly their commitment to mental health, family engagement, and the value of this role, I was able to clearly demonstrate competency across all 9 certification standards. School board support has been instrumental in creating the conditions so meaningful and impactful for social work within our schools. So congratulations to Danny Robb, nationally certified school social worker. That is all I have for recognitions for tonight.
Good thing we have so many recognitions.
Thank you everyone for coming. Yeah, something to be very proud of.
Okay, consent agenda. We can vote on these one at a time or all together.
I'll make a motion to approve together.
A second.
Okay. The motion to approve all together. Harris, Gelding, Wait, did I do that wrong?
Bush.
No, it was Skelton.
I think it was
We
Gelding.
were
I
kind of
agree.
tied.
Maybe I'm just closer, so the audio.
Go with it. Go with it.
Okay, any discussion? Are we good?
Okay, Harris,
Yes.
Eisner,
Yes.
Gelding,
Yes.
Bergstrom,
Yes.
Bush.
Yes.
All right, communications. Is where we share any communications we've received from the community. Well, I'll start with you.
Nothing.
I had a good conversation actually with a board member from Milton about 3 weeks ago. Somebody who I've had a work relationship for a while, and kind of talked him into joining the Milton board. And he's done some good work there, but one of the things he does driving every day is just listen to board meetings, and we're one of the meetings that he listens to. He's got about 8 schools that he does. And we were just talking a little bit about the May meeting and the organizational meeting and how we had jumped up to $2,000. And he said they've been at 2,000 for a long time, and most of the districts around them are also at 2,000. But he said the thing that they do that was much more meaningful to him, and I thought it was fantastic, so I thought I would bring it to the meeting, is if you have a graduating senior as a board member, then you are up on stage for graduation and get to give your son or daughter their diploma. And it's actually going to probably cause him to serve 2 more terms because it was so meaningful to him the first time. And so I thought that seemed fairly easy to do. So I will email Member Johnson to get some policy work done on that, see if the policy committee is interested in changing that. He just said if there's 2, they split them in half, and you obviously take the half that your child is in. If there's 3, they split them in thirds. And he said it was much more rewarding than he would have anticipated on that night, and just suggested, if it's not a big deal, that we should definitely do it, especially if we are looking for ways to incentivize either people to stay on the board or people to join the board. So I'll be emailing Member Johnson to bring that forward. So otherwise, he just applauded us for our efforts and kind of the things that we're doing. So it was good to hear somebody that has no connection to us, that is listening to what we do and thinks that we're at least doing okay. So.
Worked in the Highland School District for 5 years, and they did a similar thing. And everybody's related to everybody in Highland, so a lot of times the board members are on the stage for it. But yeah, if there was a niece or nephew or a son or daughter, those board members would come, and same thing like you said. If it was multiple, we tried to time it up so that they were the one presenting the diploma to their significant offspring. So it's done in other places as well.
Quiet month. I don't think I have anything to report.
Next up, items for discussion.
Citizen comment. I don't know if anybody will, but citizen comments.
Nothing here.
Okay. Anybody online, raise your hand if you're here to comment. So items for information and discussion. First one is food service Fund 50 budget update.
I was asked with the approval of the increase in the pricing for the meals through the school program, what that might look like in terms of revenue generated. I'd asked Food Service Director Kimmy Mum to kind of run some numbers. So she just looked at if we had the same number of meal services for this upcoming school year, the 10 cents would equate to about just a little over $6,000 in profit. We did run at a little bit of a deficit. If you remember, when we put the Fund 50 budget together for this last year, we took numbers from Taher and made our best estimates. We had a couple pieces of equipment that we had to replace. We still have, a surplus in Fund 50. So we were able to cover some of those costs, but it negatively impacted that budget. And so knowing we had a surplus there, we were okay with making some of those purchases. So the 6,000 wouldn't necessarily offset that total deficit, but we don't anticipate those kinds of larger ticket items, pieces of equipment needing to be repaired or replaced or anything in this upcoming school year. I had a conversation with Kimmy at the end of the year, so she feels very comfortable where we are equipment wise. So just that change could potentially bring in $6,000 over the course of next year. And that's adults, students, elementary, breakfast and lunch.
Can we allocate any of that for like people who might be falling on hard times to like?
There is, as the auditors call it, like an angel fund. We do have an angel fund that people have contributed to, so we can try to help offset some of those needy individuals.
So in the future, so this year it'll be a wash probably to make up for the equipment that we bought, but in the future, might there be, I know we talked about more local food, things that would probably be more expensive to chop and peel and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Do you think, I guess we'd have to talk about that in the future. Seems like maybe there's room.
State doesn't like you to have too large of a fund balance in Fund 50. They'll encourage you to spend it down. And if we know we have big ticket items that we need, or we can make, somebody wants to donate a steer and we pay for the processing, there's ways for us to offset that, or we could buy some things, some animals, whatever, and get the process. We can help spend down that Fund 50 account a little bit. It goes back to benefiting every student that participates in the food service program. In the perfect world, it's here's my revenue, here's my expenses, and they're balanced. That's what they would really like to see. I don't know too many school districts that can pull that off on a year-over-year basis, but us having a fund balance is a good position for us to be in after year one of taking the program back in-house. I feel very comfortable where we are.
General funds, Fund 10 deficit for 24-25.
So the audit starts tomorrow. We will get our final numbers, like our Fund 10 to Fund 27 transfer. But as it stands right now, we're looking at, and I say this, if you got to think back at, a year ago where we were here, it looks like the deficit's going to come in at about $200,000.
Fantastic.
Considering where we were looking at a year ago, we basically were able to cut that in half. Again, some grant monies, some additional Medicaid billing revenue that came in, being very strategic with the budget, how we spend out, how our staff members spent out. So feel very fortunate that that's where we are. We'll know a final number, a more concrete number after the audit is completed. It'll probably take a little while. I won't get that number on Thursday or Friday, but right now that's kind of what it's looking like in that ballpark. So we feel very good about where that number was ending up.
I just noticed there's a hand up on the bottom of the screen, so it might have just been an old one. You see above the invite?
Oh,
Yeah, I think that might have been.
Maybe from the beginning of the meeting?
Yes.
Okay, all right, just wanted to check.
Normally it would be up by their name if somebody just now.
Okay. That's good.
questions or discussion? Like, good news.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have the final audit, was that usually back by August? I know you said it wouldn't be right away.
Right. Typically, I'll get them prepared. I might be able to get some of those numbers in August. It depends on how many other audits Johnson Block will be going through. Typically, we get that full report closer to January. They'll let us know by the end of the week if there's something glaring that needs to be done. But if not, the final report will come closer to January. But I will try to report out what I know when I know it.
We have to approve a transfer out of fund balance to, do we have to take some sort of action to cover the deficit?
No,
That just,
no, that
Takes care of
deficit will
itself.
be, and that will be reported to the state. So because we had to use fund balance monies
Mhm.
over the course of the year, there should be, our aid is about 23 cents on the dollar. So if you just round it up, we should be getting 50,000 in additional revenue for this upcoming school year. Every little bit's going to help us.
All right, building level administrator reports.
I don't know who drew the first straw, but who wants to go?
Front and back
sir.
is both math and read it on there. There's one small. Yep. I was gonna add to it. I just, for some reason didn't want to print for me very well. Was for the kindergarten. It gives you the above 50% in the green, but it did not want to print the first three other ones. I can give you the numbers if you want to see them, like if you want. I do have it on mine too. But I can tell you as well too. But you can see as you look overall, if you compare math and reading, math scores were phenomenal across the board from there, and every grade level going across. Again, I did give you the opportunity to look at fall, winter, spring for the whole year for this year and comparing. So again, looking at the colors, which is the numbers, blue is your 0 to 10, 11, or the red is 11, 24. Your yellow is 25 to 49, and the green is 50 plus. And that kind of breaks it down as well too. And each category gives you the number of students in each one. As you remember before, the testing from the state, we have to test so many days after school starts. The middle one can fluctuate from there, and the last testing round has to be so many days before the end of the school year. I know like first grade did another round towards the end, and based on when they tested in March and when they tested back in May, the numbers changed dramatically as well too, and a positive for us as well too. Just there's such a short window from the winter to spring to test and actually have classroom and win time to be able to do actual interventions and classroom teaching. That again, you have a window at the end of the school year as well too, that allows you to kind of see how much growth there is. But again, based on state requirements, we don't always get that last little bit of where they at the end of the year. It's towards that springtime start. But overall, again, you can look at again 4th and 5th based on their scores throughout the whole year. Again, a lot of our intervention, our early intervention went towards the K1, 2, and 3 just because they were so high academically, both in math and reading from there. So again, we didn't have much that we actually spent on intervention with the 4th and 5th. You can kind of see as well too, the 3rd grade, which will be 4th grade, we are up to 70 students for this coming year. We had a few move in just recently, actually last couple weeks.
Magnetic class.
Yeah, so we are pushing the 70 as of this week. Yeah, it's the most we've ever had for a while from there. So, but they, again, there's even the ones that have come in are all move-ins to that grade. So it's definitely a popular grade to move into.
And the visual, so these lines are the number of kids, right? The size of the class, like
Yeah.
the line across isn't
Yeah.
academic related at all.
Yep.
And you just, the visual of the difference in the size of 4th and 3rd grade is
Yeah.
really. Okay.
So again, you can kind of see again how much or need we have across the board as well too, just for academic grade level wise. But again, we're looking at 24, almost 25 in a class. So that will be 4th grade class.
So,
Question.
is the measurement, is it proficiency, or is green acceptable? Is green and yellow acceptable? Can you help
We're,
me?
we're obviously striving for every student to be above the 50
Okay.
from there. Based on overall for the year, from the state, we looked at, for especially reading, anything below the 24th percentile for the reading
Okay.
would obviously could activate a PRP as well too. So again, we look kind of really watch that fine line, that 24th percentile for the reading wise is for the PRPs. But obviously we're striving for every student to be above 50% from there. And we had a bunch of them that were, again, 90, 95% that were really up there, which is awesome as well too.
When did they start taking that forward exam?
This about the same time we do our spring testing for Ames Web and Star. With all in that same window,
There's a lot of testing being done by our students.
especially third, fourth, and fifth. The third gets hit hardest. Obviously, that's their first year of forward and Ames Web testing. So it's kind of a lot within about a 3-week span that they got to finish.
There could be some just students worn out. Yeah, exactly. Some fatigue about, I'm taking another test. I just want some homework. I just want to read. I want something other than taking a test. So
And so we definitely look at our schedule. Spring break usually falls in that same window as well. So it kind of shrinks our ability. So we have to really look at window of availability of when can we get tests in and not overload. But it is a lot in that about 3-week time frame of testing both. And again, looking at the forward, I think great numbers coming back as well too. So everything is on your sheets of questions. Again, looking at it, I know I've been busy with summer school, sports camps, a ton of stuff overall in my schedule.
I have a question. So in 2026 is when students who are the 25th, 24.99 or less
Yep.
end up having some extra supports that are required by the district
Summer school, yeah.
for summer school. Does this fall, are there any requirements under Act 20 of it? Like I'm looking at, so if it were 2026, then we'd have 14 plus 19 students who would have to have some kind of
Correct.
thing. But it's not, it's 25, so
Right.
it's just a,
if a student has a
baseline.
PRP, if a student has a PRP now, they start the school year with that PRP. So there will be additional supports right at the start of the school year
okay,
for
so
students.
this would have triggered a PRP.
Some of those
Yes,
numbers.
yes.
Yeah, anything below that 24th would
Yeah.
trigger that
Okay.
PRP.
Is spring when we trigger the PRP? Or is
For
it?
the summer, yes.
At any time.
Any
So
one
if
of
they
the
take a
three.
test in the fall, when
This
they
would be
take that
fall
fall
when they're
test, if
first
they're in that 24 or below,
Okay.
there's a PRP that's tied to that.
Yep.
And they, till they demonstrate they're out of that area.
Maybe not necessarily associated with, well, with this data, but is there a reason we're not consider, other than known space constraints, is there a reason we're not considering a fourth section for those students going into fourth grade? Not minimizing the space constraints, but I'm just, we smoke 70 kids. It's
Yeah.
a lot.
I know it's been brought up and we've talked about it, but again, it's where and how do you split them?
That's real.
If we had the space, I believe that we would be here
Looking at,
presenting information to ask for another section.
just we're looking at even just a couple like closets we've used as storage, moving stuff out and using it for office space for next year, just because we're that limited on space overall as a building. So
I don't have any magical answers, but I'm looking at 70 students in classes of that. I mean, that's a lot of kids in a class,
That is
and
very much abnormal for us to have those kinds of numbers in not a kindergarten, sorry, in a grade level classroom, having that 24 to 25. It's not for much bigger metropolitan areas, but it is very abnormal for us. And, like I said, if given no restraints on space, we would probably be asking for that level of support, hiring somebody that could be there for fourth grade and then whatever shifts we would need to make the next year and having 4 sections of fifth grade.
have you invested any time in some and I know how much time you all put in, so I don't mean to minimize that, but some creative thinking about different ways we could structure spaces or how we could get a temporary space we're looking at probably a 2-year, I don't want to say problem, but a 2-year situation.
Right.
We're probably not going to have another class of 70 anytime soon. It'd be great if we did,
Right.
but
It becomes challenging. I mean, I'll throw it out there like in the past, especially when we threw out COVID. Like I switched in and taught in the music room, but then we're moving, classes from there. It does make it harder across the board. But again, there is limited opportunities for space. Is there a couple of spaces that could be available? And that would be the biggest thing would be, what do we take away or move out of that's now on a moving cart from class to class as an option?
I think the difficult thing in this building, the art teacher, the music teacher has some off periods where, they might be providing a lesson or something. They could go to a smaller, we could capture that. Problem, I think, in the elementary school is art's all day long, music's all day long. They've got every section, every grade level coming through. So it's not like, hey, if we just move you to this location, you're there for these 3 hours of the day. It's temporary. You think you could pull that off, but you're talking every day, all day that they're working with students in some capacity. So it makes that kind of a move much more difficult.
And there's really no, in terms of portables, it's really hard in Wisconsin, the heat and stuff like that. Not even a level place, park one.
it really isn't.
No, there's not. Not without taking parking or playground space away, and then you're not attached to the building. I've been in districts that have had to do that, and that
That's a
causes
security
its own,
concern.
yes, it
Yeah.
causes its own concerns as well.
Like with how our numbers are trending, the chance of us getting another size class of 70 would be more realistic than not, wouldn't it?
That's an interesting point.
Year of that.
Right. But I'm just thinking like how we're growing compared to surrounding communities. Some who
Yeah.
might be in trouble.
There's that potential. There's no doubt about it.
Just be good to understand, like, if we had to find or make another section,
What would we do?
what would we do? Like, just list out like this would have to change, this would have to change. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's almost part of that 10-year plan, so that we know what it looks like if we have to cross that bridge.
And I can sit down and Mitch and kind of give, here's option 1, 2, 3, that the best options we have. From there, I mean, there's pros and cons whenever we start looking at any of those solutions of how to help that grade level per class, per student, I guess, in each class. I know I'm obviously talking with third grade team, obviously the numbers, it does make it challenging to do small groups and everything else. And even just having space in your classroom, when you have a space that you can sit down and have morning meeting, well, that grade is really shrunk in space wise because of the number of desks or the number of tables makes it challenging as well too.
I can't do the math in my head here, but just looking at the reading in particular, it seems like the third grade class is performing more poorly than the other classes, but they happen to be pretty okay in math. I think instead of space, maybe it's a HR issue
Yeah. And
too, of getting more teaching aides, if that's the request.
an interventionist.
Yeah,
We
to
have-
just help more kids at that level.
We have the opportunity, I know you're looking at being able to use reading interventionists in the middle school, being able to help support some at the elementary school, and that might be one of the areas that can be addressed, in this upcoming year, that schedule is being built or has been built that would allow for that. Another level of support, so that might be able to pull some students out and allow for a little bit more small group opportunities. The concern would be that pullout's going where? It might have to just be a spot in the hallway somewhere to be able to work with students. Brooke?
Big thing is it's a very intensive group that she's servicing is where do you go so you're not in the hallway? Because every person who walks by needs that intensive.
Might be a matter of taking those top readers out in the hallway that are a little bit more independent as readers, and classroom teacher gives up their space for this more intensive group to help them stay a little bit more focused. I mean, there's things that we could juggle around that way.
It's all depending on number, right? These are pretty, either way, there's a big cluster of kids somewhere.
Right.
Going on in the cafeteria most of the day, now that we have a cafeteria there, it's not a gym anymore.
That would be an open space based on when, like obviously if it's during lunch,
Right.
you know, before setup. But the tables, usually after breakfast, are set up for lunch, mid-morning. And then after lunch, about an hour, it's cleaned up and ready for the afternoon. So there is quite a few classrooms that, have opportunities to go in and use that space if needed.
Lunch starts at 10:45. It
Yeah.
goes until 12:45. So I mean,
Yeah.
really from like 10:30 to 1:30, it's
Right.
being used.
I would like to know if a community member, particularly a parent from that group, came to me and said, what are you doing to support this? I'd like to know that, and then it sounds like thought's been given, but to be able to articulate, here's how we're providing additional support for this, unusually large class size. And
I would say
it sounds like
certainly
there's some things in place,
the
but
reading interventionist being in the elementary to be able to work with some of the struggling readers at that particular grade level is one of the first things that I would mention. That's happened and it will continue to happen.
We also look at the win time of making sure, again, the grade levels that need the most support have additional support if needed. You know, instead of just one person, maybe it's two or three, to break in the smaller groups as well too. So, anything we can do is obviously been talked about, at least looked at as an opportunity to help support all grade levels, but, third obviously in particular.
thank you.
So, you bet.
Three board members with kids in that class. Three.
And me too.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's been in the third grade.
Third grade's way in the rearview mirror. So we're not going back.
Thank
You're welcome. Okay, so we can start with looking at the STAR data here on the front. So this is this year. So one thing that I did do, I had somebody ask, where were we with our new curriculum and how does that compare to where we were at the spring last year? So I didn't include that because I already had those made. I did not include sixth grade because I wouldn't be comparing the same thing. So I just started at seventh grade. So if we first just look at where we are, we've gone up since the winter. If we look at last spring, we were at 42% with that seventh grade that was at or above benchmark. And in reading, yep, if we just look down here. And then 24% were at that on watch category. So right there, we can see some improvement in that grade. If we go down to the eighth grade for spring 2024, we were at 33% last spring that were at or above, and now we're at 63. So that's excellent. And then we were at 41% that were on watch, and now we're at 27. You can keep going if you want the other numbers, but I thought we kind of look at that. In that category, with that grade, eighth grade, we did have 20% who are at intervention level. Now we're at 7, and we are at 7% for urgent intervention, and now we're at 2. So a couple things we can attribute to that is the new reading curriculum that we're doing, and also Tasha's continued support in that area. So it's great. Again, I didn't compare math for sixth grade because they're different, but we can look at seventh grade. So for the 2024, this one is the only one that trended down a little bit. So we were at 60% in that seventh grade who were at or above benchmark, but now we're at 55. It's a matter of, I think it was like 1.5 kids, something like that.
for the on watch, we were at 21 and now we're at 27. And then the other numbers are pretty similar. 15% for intervention, now we're at 17, and then 5% for urgent, now we're at 2. And then our 8th graders, we had 61% who were at or above, now we're at 73. On watch, we were at 24, now we're at 17. 11 for intervention last year, 7 now, and 4% for urgent intervention, now we're at 2. So I know we keep kind of looking at STAR. That was pretty exciting to see that data. I know that it's just, you know, you don't exactly know, is your instruction impacting? And so that's something that as we keep going, impacting STAR, sorry, is what I meant. As we keep going, keeping an eye on these spring scores when we didn't have a curriculum in place and seeing this is just in year 1. What can year 2 look like in year 3? Because we're looking at that 3 to 5 years of that implementation, and how that's going to impact our kids. So that's one thing. I'll probably put this into a chart just so we can keep an eye on that for our reading and our math. Now, specifically looking at our Common Lit data, I pulled the pre-assessment that was given in September. So that's your first bar of information here. And then right underneath is the same grade level at their post-assessment. So we do good things. We do see that yellow group shrinking a little bit. And even though like we have 19 who are in that on grade level or above grade level at the beginning of the year, we did move it up to 30 in the spring. So that's 11 students who have made that movement. And every student, you know, we want to reach even more, but in that first year, seeing the growth and knowing that these who are over here in the 24, many of those are receiving intervention through their teachers, work with our interventionist, or they are very close to making the jump over themselves. So like with a matter of a couple of points. So the big thing when we look at Common Lit is, and I heard it again today, it's a big shift because they went from reading their own books and now it is a very routine process. And so just continuing to keep our kids engaged in what they're reading, how to read, how to really annotate and understand what they're reading, we really think is going to keep paying off. And we have the data now to keep referring to. In that 7th grade, we were looking at 50 students who were at that below in spring. So moving that then to 35. So we improved, scooching over. We have 13 kids then that made that improvement there. And then in 8th grade, we have growth. So that's one thing that when we were looking at this as teachers and looking at it with me, I know we talked about it with the elementary group. We went from doing our forward testing. We started that the week before spring break, tested during April. We had 1.5, 2 weeks, depending on in between. And then we got into our STAR and our Common Lit. So we are kind of toying with how could we put maybe this as a priority, because like I said with STAR, we don't always know like each lesson where it's going to impact STAR, but we do know that what we're teaching in Common Lit, these skills are broken down. So it's just in a big circle for you, but we have every single skill and where every single kid is on their progression for every skill that we have. So we want to try to next year, how can we even highlight this test? Maybe even have them take this one before we take the STAR, just so we aren't maybe reaching that that fatigue that every kid reaches in May, but then particularly once they've been tested a lot. So so overall growth in every category, but just kind of one of those things, keep, like I reported out in June, we are going to keep doing the things that we're doing, keep providing professional development and time to get what the teachers need to done. And then also looking at the supports that we have in our school and making sure teachers are in the classroom are feeling like they have everything that we can possibly give them to get the students to be as successful as they can. So.
Good question.
Yeah.
Just in this kind of somewhat in your role as the middle school principal, but then somewhat as being, you were the you were reading specialist
Yep.
before, right? I was just doing some math. So when you look at these scores in the middle school and at the red category, which would translate to the blue category on the elementary school report, you know, basically 2% would be one kid. If you're thinking about class sizes, and then 3%'s 1.5,
Yep.
4 is like 2 kids, right? You have those kids up on the reading side for the urgent intervention at the middle school, and it's 2 plus 3, so like 5 kids, maybe 6, that in the whole middle school that are at the urgent intervention. And I realize we're dealing with more class sizes at the elementary, but it's 45 kids when you add up those numbers. So it just occurs to me that the problem that needs to be addressed is in the elementary school. And I don't know if these scores are apples to apples, you know, I know they're different tests, but just as a board member, I guess thinking about where the problem is that needs to be addressed. It's not like blaming anybody for it, but more like where should we be allocating resources right now? And it's maybe not shifting resources necessarily from middle school to elementary, but like perhaps allocating some more to make sure that we're not letting these kids and families down.
Yep.
That wasn't a question actually, but I just want to throw it out there as an observation that it's like 45 kids
Yep.
compared to 5.
Definitely. And luckily, I've had lots of conversations with our reading specialists. So that's why when we have the interventionists who are down there focusing on that K1, 2, and then having that interventionist come in to do targeted instruction with that 3, 4, 5. I mean, she's ready, she's excited, she's able to. It's just working out her schedule to make sure that it can happen.
Yeah. I guess if it gets into, you know, I know Tom's moving to a different position now. We don't know who's going to be in that role, but if it gets to the point where you feel like it's an urgent need, you know, at the elementary school, please come back to us. So, because this is, you know, concern.
Yep. And the great thing is we have somebody here, and we are soaking up every hour of her day, but we want all of our kids to get what they need.
Right.
So that hopefully by the time they get to be 6th graders, we won't need that level of support as much.
Yeah.
And we have a great relationship of talking, and we'll make sure that that continues, to make sure that it's all about the kids and what they need. So.
Right.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Just one.
Are you on the
Sure, I'm
back?
gonna step at one. I'm just thinking about the actual numbers and star, the correlation concept. I'm curious, I know why we do star, it's sort of that, not a full system measure, it's an interim assessment, but it's not the level of like individual skill. Do we have to take star? Like, what would happen if we didn't take star?
So that was in June, that's on our goals for next year, is to create a team that would be looking at, we would call it an assessment team.
Yeah.
And
Largely because our contract is up, so we want to determine if it's the best, if we continue to need it with the other assessments that are required by the state. If it's the best assessment, you know, Mitch and I and the admin team had talked about, and we've spent for years, like you have to be at like the 83rd percentile or something in STAR to be proficient on the Ford exam. Like it doesn't, you know, a 50% doesn't equate to proficient. So is there a better measurement? So those are some things that we want to explore and get our teachers input to, because I know like 4th and 5th grade came to Tom and I, and we're struggling with like, well, all the rest of the elementary school is using this other measurement. Shouldn't we use that measurement? So there's continuity, but then we go and then we have a different measure for 3 years. And so just trying to figure out what is the best assessment over time to look at progress over time for our students with the other things that are not required for us.
And then we will have, when we
Teacher
meet, we'll have a
representation.
whole year and a half using our
Yeah.
common lit data, and we see
correlate.
every single skill. And so
It
it's,
seems more actionable.
But it was one of the admin team's goals this year was to spend the year kind of discussing, researching, analyzing, getting teacher input and taking a committee and then bringing a recommendation forward.
And Tom, just to clarify, K through 3 on this, is this STAR or Ames Web data?
That's Ames.
Okay.
4, 5.
It's also not
4 through
apples
8.
to apples.
No, it's not. No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's perfect assessment. Need idea.
Sir?
I have mine up on my computer, just for this cost to print. Okay, we're not gonna answer that question because then it doesn't look as neat if it's all black and white. Should be enough there for everybody to have one. I already gave one to Angie.
Okay.
So you have one.
You could print it on 8.5 by 11, but then.
You wouldn't be able to see anything on that. It's pretty small font on here, but I'll give you a second to kind of just dig into it. It is an updated version. The spots that are highlighted yellow are stuff that I'm still digging through and waiting for answers from a few things like the career speakers and whatnot. Erica and I are working on the AP and dual enrollment. She's got those numbers that I forgot to get from her the other day. I'll kind of give you a moment to kind of dig through that there, and then I can answer any questions. Well, there's a lot there. There is a lot. I guess what are you kind of most proud of all the data? I think the best thing about this is we can really see we're growing in a lot of different areas. If you look at our attendance rate is great. Co-curriculars is going on the upswing there. It's up to 78.3% of kids. We've added a few other activities over the years. We have Dungeons and Dragons. We have all these other things. So adding those things has definitely helped that because it's incorporating more kids into different things.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yep. So you wrote that down.
Is a co-curricular, is that involvement in one activity, multiple activities?
Be in there, they have to be in at least 2.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. So they have to be in at least. Oh, it's supposed to say that on there. I'm sorry. I'll make that change. It should say that in there. We added within the course book all the clubs and activities. So there are quite a few if you were to look at that, if you remember. Just kind of offering some different things. We're looking at adding esports to the middle school this year before we transition it into the high school. Just as another thing for middle school to be able to kind of dig into. The big thing that we worked a lot on this year were those career assessment skills. So we did that career assessment. That was our Friday Life Ready activities. We worked with CISA. They kind of took our idea that we had talked about and kind of ran with it a little bit. And then we were part of their pilot with it. As we keep growing, that'll be a big part of the future here with us as we work on those skills. Kind of probably giving each one up to a different month and really hammering in on that a couple times versus spreading it out because we kind of hit this one here and this one here as it was our first year doing it.
Say this one here, this one here. You mean
So like communication might be for the month of September, but in reality, we hit that here on this one, but the next 2 weeks later when we did our next activity, it might have been more on the leadership initiative. Now, most of these activities kind of tie in together with multiple skills. But those were the big skills. If you look at the Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development that pulled out of there, those are the skill sets that we're working towards. So we are trying to incorporate different activities so kids feel more confident in those areas. And this is a self-assessment for kids. We had some really good growth though in communication, that kids felt that they were better at communicating. The teamwork and collaboration, I can tell you, If you were to ask kids what the favorite activity of the year was, I'm going to say most of them would probably say the scavenger hunts. We did one in the fall and they couldn't wait till we got to another one. Then we did one right around Easter where they work in teams and they had to go find these things and take pictures. And it was really fun to see that though. But we're going to keep working on those activities and try to modify those.
Yeah, when you come to the ACT benchmarks and then also the 2.8 GPA, are you the one that's setting those, or they mean something? Is that a standard or?
That's the standard.
Okay.
Yep. So the benchmarks are what they are for the ACT. When we went to,
Is that like what is
there's
like average or
the benchmark? That's a college ready score. So for like an 18, English is an
Got it.
18 is deemed college ready.
Okay,
Math and reading are 22. Science is a 23.
got it. And then same thing for GPA. That's
For the
college
GPA, that's the future ready training. We did that probably about 10 years ago. We went to it. Thomas Murray was his name, and he kind of looked at the skill sets that you should be tracking. Same thing with the Algebra 2. Those are the future ready skills that they deemed at that time that you should be really tracking. So we took those and we tried to expand on those things. Yeah. One thing that, and I'm going to talk with the high school staff too as we start to get in this. If you look down at the life ready, career ready, college ready scores, they're good, right? They're really good. I think that we need to, I'm going to say, start increasing that standard. You know, it's great that we have 100% kids this year met at least 2 of the career ready indicators. Maybe it should be 3 or 4. You know, a lot of the schools, that's kind of where they started at. I think we can increase that bar because we're going to keep tracking more and more things. Well, then let's increase those bars. And we can put a little asterisk down there. Hey, now we're taking into account higher standards. So look, the number may not be 86. It may drop to 82 now for college ready, but that's okay. Right. So I think we're going to look at that. I'm going to talk with my staff about that, but I do think we need to kind of increase that. Hey, we want to be here. We're not going to settle for here because it's great. 100% fantastic. Now let's do better. So
I'd support that, Matt.
Yeah.
I'd say on the GPA thing, if it's possible, I'd be interested in seeing. I don't know what a 2.8 is. Is that a C average? Or?
I'd have to sit down.
It'd be
I'm
probably
guessing
C plus. I would say a B is a 3.
Yeah. So it's probably a C plus average.
You know,
And this,
when
that,
go ahead and say.
I was gonna say that number comes from
That's from the Future Ready training.
Future Ready program as well. They're
Right.
they're stating it, that number, so we just
Sure.
applied that.
And I believe, and it says there, strong predictor of 4-year college outcome for all academic disciplines. So that's what they had predicted, that you would be a strong student at the college level.
It makes me think about like if that's a really big predictor, that GPA, how tightly correlated are our homework policies and like grading? Like what goes into that GPA?
I'd have to dig through that Future Ready stuff to see if there's
I'm just
anything
curious
that there.
how
Yeah,
they
it's a
tighten
great
that up,
question.
because as someone who goes into several schools, you can have the same grading numbers, like the formulas, but like what the content looks like could be radically different. It's like, whoa, this is really rigorous and this isn't.
Sure.
You can get an A in either one and walk away from that school and be like,
Sure.
I got a 3.2, where you would have gotten a 1.7 at another one. So I know it's a whole period problem to sort out like
Yeah.
with reliability or rigorousness and grading
Yeah.
policies, but it does.
No, he sends out weekly emails. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. So, but no, I'll dig through that. Absolutely. Because you're absolutely right.
I know you don't have the space for it, but
What's that?
looking at after the high school plans for 24-25, is there
Yep.
anything that jumps out at you in this last year's graduating class compared to the year prior?
So this year you had a lot more students who, and this is grades 9 through 12, but a lot more students that were kind of focused on that tech school, more of a university stuff. I think you're going to start seeing next year's senior class will definitely be on the other side. They'll be more focused on the workforce and the apprenticeship stuff, which is great. And we're going to help them prepare for that. That's our goal, is to help them kind of prepare. You know, this is 9 through 12. So this would be our sophomores through 11th graders, right? So it's everybody's skill, and they will take this career cluster interest and after high school plans survey. first or second day of the school year when we start the school year again, is that helps us bring in people for the career fair. It helps us kind of pick some different things throughout the year. So this is last year's information, but then we'll do it right away, first or second day of school.
It'd be interesting too, now that that list is like out there for people to see what extracurriculars there are.
Mhm.
When you sit down and talk to your team, like, do we have enough do we have additional health science opportunities? Because a lot of our kids are really in.
Right.
I don't know how much variety there is every year. I just keep remembering, oh, right.
It
this could be a
changes.
handful of kids that
Yep.
makes that percentage rate.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Making sure that something that we're asking about is somehow present and available for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For the college ready scores.
Yep.
That percentage is, if I'm reading this correctly, is currently measured against all the entire population. Would it make more sense for those percentages to be based on students who had self-identified as being interested in that path? Like if that's not my jam and I'm
That
going
is a
to the
really good
workforce, why am I worried about that column for me specifically? Not that it's not great for you who are on the
that's
but that's not me.
a really good question.
I think it's a great question. I also think the idea is to make sure doors stay open. I say that a lot,
Okay.
you know, so if a
Yes,
student comes through and
That's a good
graduates
answer.
and it's like, you know what, college isn't for me. And they go a year, do they have the skill set behind them to say, hey, a year from now, maybe I want to go to college? And yep, you have the skills necessary. So sometimes I think it's important to just track that. And if nothing else, just say, no, you have the skills to
Right.
do this.
And a lot of that is that GPA and, okay, maybe they took a college class. Maybe they got a C or higher in algebra, which obviously we have a very, ELG2, we have a very high track of that, which is great. Right. So a lot of our kids are above that 2.8, which is kind of what that shows you there. But you know, that's kind of just that measure. And that's the senior class there, both those two areas. Anything else? Anybody? So a lot of information there. We'll keep updating as I get things here too from people, and then we'll get it updated on the website as well. So, thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Action items. Several, we'll do a punch out, 7 and 7. First up are second reading and approval of policies. There are 4 of them.
So last month, you had the first reading, no questions came up. These came through the policy committee. They were sent to our in-house experts to kind of, does our policy meet our practice kinds of things? These policies do. I would recommend that you approve the second reading and make these our policies.
I'll move we approve all 4.
I will second.
Eisner? Any discussion?
Not discussion, but thank you to the members of our staff who took time to go through these and provide their insights and inputs.
And there was input from staff within the district. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Staff?
Yeah.
Okay. The Act 20 was especially, I think, a really heavy lift. All right. Any other questions?
Bush,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Eisner,
Yes.
Gelding,
Yes.
Birch.
Yes. Thank you. Next up, nominations for WASB Business Honor Roll.
Every year you have the opportunity to nominate up to 5 businesses. You don't have to nominate any. These are businesses that have demonstrated support for district initiatives, our students' programs. And it's just kind of a nice thing to do to recognize that outside support. So I think a list was provided for you, kind of who's been nominated in the past. You cannot nominate someone a second time. And some recommendations coming forward. So
So a couple highlights. I know we had several students in youth apprenticeships this year through Culver's. Do you want me to read the list of potential businesses? Is it in? I can't remember if it's
I
in
think
there.
it's in here.
It's in there, yes.
Page 54 and 55.
Thank you.
Any thoughts or recommendations?
I think the ones highlighted in yellow seem worthy of nomination.
Is that a nomination?
Yes,
I can second.
Sandy.
So the board nominates Culvers for Youth Apprenticeships, Mineral Point Car Show, which donated toward the CTE program this year, and then Cardinal Glass, who donated toward the new trophy cases.
Just as a point of clarification, we are talking specifically about the Culvers in Dodgeville, Wisconsin, or are we talking about Culvers as a corporate entity? I'm assuming we're talking about
I would say the
Dodge, the
Dodgeville.
locally owned
Yes, I would
Dodgeville.
say the
franchise.
Dodgeville.
Okay, I'm fine either way. I just think we should clarify.
Do they franchise this? Culvers or?
I
They are?
believe so.
Okay.
They have different owners.
I didn't know that. Cool.
Were you here the night we talked about one of our own going through Culver's University next year?
No.
Matt, would you want to just clarify that?
So next year, we have a student who will be on a hybrid schedule. They'll take his classes that are required here. He'll be going through what they call Culver's University, being trained to run his own store.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's already started his training this summer. And he'll finish his training through the next year, and then he will go to run his own store. So
After he
I think we
receives
should
his
get,
high school diploma, he'll be going to a Culver's of his very own.
Yeah, that's cool.
very awesome opportunity. And they've had youth apprenticeships for us almost every year. We have a lot of kids that work there.
I demand chocolate malt samples. Let us be the judge of how this kid did.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we have a
Alright.
motion, a second?
Motion, we have a motion and a second, or do we just have a?
We had a motion in a second.
Okay, great.
Yes. Yep.
On favor,
Aye.
All right.
opposed? Okay. Next up, fees for the 25-26 school year. You can see those on page 56. We are not adding fees, if I recall correctly.
Correct.
Looks like we are removing a fee, right?
Yes. Yep, that came as a recommendation from Ms. McHugh Calderon.
I'll move.
Second.
Okay, Harris, Gelding. Any discussion? All right,
Harris,
Yes.
Eisner,
Yes.
Gelding,
Yes.
Bergstrom,
yes.
Bush.
Yes.
Next up, approval of academic standards.
This is on page 57. We make sure that we meet the DPI's requirements for academic standards. So you have a list of our disciplinary literacy programs or standards from agricultural down to essential elements in science. And then our educational opportunities, we have opportunity for students to attend. If you're a homeschooled student, you can attend up to 2 classes throughout the day for the course of the school year. We get to count that student in our numbers at basically order student, so. But these are the standards we have had year over year, and we make sure that they meet all of the DPI standards. I would recommend that you approve them as presented.
Ask a clarifying question. If I recall correctly,
it isn't saying that we are necessarily offering a course, for example, in dance, but that if we were to offer a dance course, that course would meet Wisconsin academic standards. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We might do some things, through the Wisconsin Virtual Academy.
Mhm.
So something we might not have a teacher for. I see, world language. We had a student ask for French one year. We provided that opportunity through the Virtual Academy. I think somebody even took Latin one year through the same way. So it's like we provide these opportunities to the best of our ability, and when we do provide them, we follow DPI standards. So yes, that is accurate.
Make a motion to approve the academic standards.
I will second. Oh, sorry. I will second.
Gelding, Kaiser. Discussion. All
Can
in
do it.
favor?
Hang in there, we're close.
Any opposed? What is it?
All in favor?
All in favor? I
Yeah.
feel like I'm in a cartoon.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great.
Bless you.
Thank you.
The district student handbook, if you remember back in January, the entire board met, looked through and reviewed the 3 different student handbooks, made the recommendation to combine it into one. That process had been completed. It was shared with the policy committee, who had an opportunity to review it last Wednesday. Rachel is the only committee member here that can share out any of the conversations, but the recommendation coming out of the committee was to approve.
Yeah, recommended approving it. I think there were still a couple, we're waiting on one of the wellness policy to be approved tonight so that can be updated in the actual handbook itself. But in general, it flows really nicely. We made a few really tiny edits, and seems like it'll be a really useful place for parents to go, especially online, because it'll be online. You can just search for what you're looking for by district or the elementary or the middle school. That's great.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the 25-26 district student handbook.
I'll second.
Okay, Harris Bush. Any discussion? Harris?
Yes.
Bless you.
Lisa?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Bush.
Yes.
Thank you. Board business is next. The school board strategic plan meeting, just a reminder, we have that August 25th at 6 p.m. And the last revision we had to our board goals, we removed some and made some edits. So that'll be part of our discussion for where we'll go next year with board goals. And we're getting insight from the wellness or the social emotional health team.
The 25th. I don't know that I have that one on my calendar.
Yeah, 25th at 6.
Thank you.
Right. Employee services, we can do employee or anything else about board business.
Mitch, how are the 2 remodeling things coming at the high school?
Actually on time. Everything is great. The cabinets all showed up today. They're starting to work on installing all the cabinets, the countertops. Supposed to be in either Wednesday or Thursday of this week. Once the cabinet bases are all in on the tops, put the tops in. We just had a construction meeting today. Everything is going according to schedule. The only, I'll say, minor hiccup will be the window at the end of the hallway. And right now the plan is for that. It's been ordered. It should be here lead time and installed probably the last week of August. They're actually going to turn over the spaces to us probably a week ahead of time.
I thought we were reusing the window.
At the end of the hallway? No.
The greenhouse
Yeah,
type
that
window?
greenhouse bump out. No, that was being removed.
Oh, okay.
And
I
a
misunderstood
window similar to the one that's at the end of this hallway that'll have the ability to open it up and at least allow for some airflow.
that. Okay.
At that end of the hallway is being installed in its place. So it'll be a flush it won't be that bump out anymore. It'll be flush on that outside, like all the other windows on the building.
And the whole actuator airflow deal, how's that going?
They have been in and out, multiple jobs. They are making progress. They're back again this week. They were here for a week, then they were off. They're back again this week, working on that. They believe that they will have it wrapped up. They won't get it done before the school year starts, but they will have it done before the heating season. So they're looking at probably the end of September, trying to wrap up the final pieces or whatever, but they're working on the wiring. They had somebody pulling wires that first week they were here. So I think all of that has been done. So they're making great progress for being kind of spread thin in a lot of different jobs, but they're continuing their progress.
Is there any movement at all in the, not that it's our business, but the wrestling room thing that we approved? Wrestling building?
I think they've been meeting with different people. I think they realized that there's gas lines that run underneath that parking lot underneath the football field. So they've kind of run into that complication and what's the best plan of support. So I think right now it's kind of on hold for them, which is neither here nor there for us, but.
My understanding is that due to some of the Iowa County, municipal, or the hacking that happened, and there's been some delay around getting the necessary permits, and so they haven't been moving forward with some of the fundraising efforts until they can get some things kind of to move forward on that front. So I think they're a little frustrated with that.
Cool. Thank you.
Next up is employee services. We can either approve as recommended, or I could take a motion to go into closed session.
I would like to ask or make a motion that we go into closed session and then return to open session to finish employee services.
A second.
Go into closed session.
What purposes,
To discuss the resignations and postings as listed. Yeah, yes.
Employment.
Basically considering employment, promotion, compensation, performance evaluation of any public employee in which, whatever the next line of that is, I don't have my papers in order. Governmental body has jurisdiction. There we go. Yes.
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 Okay, thank you everyone online.